They killed the lights in the chamber before they killed the man. Darkness crept in from the edges of the Grand Council Hall, as if the galaxy itself wanted to distance itself from what was about to happen. Ambassador Marcus Hale stood alone, surrounded by 12 alien species seated in thrones carved from crystal, bone, and black stone. Each one a ruler of a star empire. Each one now judge and executioner. He straightened his coat, the Earth insignia stitched across his chest. The air was heavy, not with oxygen, but with politics. Words mattered here. Until they didn't. "I come with words," Marcus said, voice calm, sharp. "Not weapons." A soft ripple of disdain moved through the chamber. The Threxian delegate, Crash, let out a growl that echoed like thunder. "Words don't shield planets. And war won't build trust," Marcus shot back. "You claim we're aggressive, yet it was your ships that opened fire on our science convoy." Chancellor Virex, a luminous creature of shifting jelly and pulsing light, waved a translucent limb. Your convoy crossed into restricted space. That was no accident. Humanity has been testing boundaries. Marcus didn't blink. We offered reparations. We offered withdrawal. We offered diplomacy. This tribunal, this theater, proves none of it was ever considered. The silence that followed was brutal. Then Crash stood, his armor plates clicking. "You speak well, human. But your species spreads like radiation, unseen, unstoppable, deadly." "Radiation brings light," Marcus replied. "So does truth." One of the Hellari delegates, pale, crystalline-skinned, actually nodded in appreciation. But it was already too late. This wasn't a trial. It was a setup. Marcus had known it from the moment the council had denied his escort, insisted on a private session, and activated media blackout. Earth's greatest diplomat wasn't here to speak. He was here to be silenced. He tapped the thin chain beneath his shirt, an encrypted signal, now live. Earth would know. They'd all know. He took a final step forward, his voice ringing louder than any weapon. "If this is how peace dies, know that humanity will not fade quietly. We will not forget, and we will not forgive." High Chancellor Virex raised a gleaming tentacle. "No deliberation. No delay. Marcus Hale of Terra, you are found guilty of aggression, subversion, and violation of interstellar code. The sentence is death." Marcus smiled, not from courage, but from clarity. "Then you've made your last mistake." The executioner drone descended like a silent predator. A heartbeat later, a pulse of light burned through his chest. Marcus Hale collapsed without a sound. Earth orbit, Terran Command Relay, Luna Prime. Signal breach detected, codename, Final Flame. Red lights painted the control room. President Iko Reyes stood frozen, eyes locked on the hologram of Marcus's now flatline vitals. Around her, generals, analysts, and AI advisors went silent. "They executed him," she whispered. General Naira Vale stepped forward. Cybernetic implants flickered under her skin like restrained lightning. "They didn't just kill him. They killed diplomacy." "Is Project Revenant operational?" the president asked. "It's waiting," Naira replied. "So is every Terran dreadnought beyond Pluto's shadow. We've played by their rules long enough." Iko didn't speak for a moment. Then, "Prepare the council. Tell the colonies. The age of permission is over." Galactic Newsnet. Emergency broadcast, illegally hijacked transmission. The screen flickered to life across thousands of alien worlds. Marcus Hale's last words, captured by a hidden node in his pendant, echoed across the stars. "Humanity offered peace. You answered with blood. We're done talking." The war room beneath Luna Prime was carved into the crust of the moon, layered in quantum shielding and black glass. It had only been used twice in Terran history. This was the third. President Iko Reyes stood in silence at the center of the chamber. Her image glowed on 1,000 screens across the solar system, broadcast to governors, fleets, and listening enemies. Marcus Hale is dead. She let the words settle, like ash after fire. No spin, no politics, just the truth, raw and unforgiving. Executed without trial, on neutral ground, while representing us in peace. A long pause, not out of hesitation, but control. We are done with silence. Around her, the inner council sat still, generals, admirals, the AI strategist corps. But none as still as General Naira Vale. Naira stood with her hands behind her back, armored in a sleek black suit pulsing with nanotech veins. Her eyes were cybernetic, cold, fast, and unblinking. "Project Revenant is ready," she said, breaking the silence. "And the galaxy just handed us permission." A quiet murmur rolled through the council, but no objections. Just a shift in posture, in purpose. Earth had mourned enough. "How many assets do we have in shadow deployment?" asked Admiral Chun. 6 dreadnoughts cloaked beyond Neptune, Naira responded. 80 Revenant-class operatives off-record. 0 ties to Earth. All deniable. "Until we stop denying," President Reyes added, her voice sharp. "Terran Archives classified file. Project Revenant. Status, greenlit. Primary objective, tactical removal of Galactic Council infrastructure. Secondary objective, psychological domination through fear and precision." 3 days after Marcus's death, the first retaliation was already in motion. A remote Helari relay station, critical to the Council's border surveillance, was erased from existence. No debris, no warning, no survivors, just static and confusion. No claim of responsibility. But the message was clear. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the people burned with fury. Cities lit up not with protests, but with mobilization. Military academies opened emergency drafts. AI factories shifted production from civilian modules to war cores. Even the pacifist colonies on Europa began broadcasting one word across all channels: retaliate. News feeds tried to stay neutral. They failed. Marcus Ailes' final words became a rallying cry. A viral transmission. A martyr's torch in the vacuum of space. "We offered peace. You answered with blood. We're done talking." In the depths of Luna Prime, Naira met with a different kind of council. One with no names, only code names. Ghost, Ashfall, Warden, Oracle. Operatives who didn't officially exist. They stood around a circular table, with one question hanging between them. How far are we willing to go? Naira looked at each of them. Her voice was calm, but it carried the weight of every grave left behind by diplomacy. To the edge of the stars, and, if necessary, through them. She activated a hologram of the Galactic Council's homeworlds. 12 glowing dots across the spiral arm. "We don't need to hit them all. Just the loudest one. Hard enough, the others will fold." The plan didn't require an army. Just precision, fear, and the willingness to become what the galaxy had always accused Earth of being. Somewhere in deep space, a Threxian patrol ship floated near an asteroid belt. Routine check. No threats expected. Until the lights went out. Then the gravity. Then the crew. One by one, every crew member suffocated in perfect silence. No alarms, no struggle. Just darkness, and a final flash of Terran steel through the void. Back in the war room, President Reyes turned toward the stars visible through the observation panel. "They thought we were fragile. That peace was our only weapon." She looked at Naira. Their eyes met. No more discussion. They've woken something ancient. Naira nodded. "And now we remind them, Earth wasn't invited to the stars. We took our place here. They weren't born for war. They were built for vengeance." In a vault buried beneath the Martian ice cap, 12 humanoid figures stood motionless inside stasis columns. Their bodies were lean, but forged from reinforced bone, carbon muscle, and neural mesh. No heartbeat. No memories. Just programming. They didn't dream. They didn't ask questions. They waited. "Wake them." The voice came from General Naira Vale, standing in the control room above. Her face was shadowed, but her tone was iron. A technician hesitated. "Ma'am, are you sure? Once they're activated, there's no." "Do it." A single key press. 12 columns hissed open like crypts. And humanity's monsters stepped into the light. They were the Revenants, Earth's ultimate black ops unit, banned by every interstellar treaty. Genetically sculpted, AI-guided, emotionally neutered. Each one trained through simulated death 1,000 times over. Fast, silent, invisible. Created not to fight armies, but to dismantle empires. Code-named after ghosts. Wraith. Phantom. Eidolon. Hollow. Shade. Spectre. Banshee. Poltergeist. Haunt. Revenant Prime. Zero. Omega. They had no loyalty to governments or flags. Only to Naira. Inside the launch bay, a Terran dreadnought waited in silent orbit around Jupiter's moon Callisto, cloaked, cold, and hungry. Objective. Revenant Prime asked. His voice wasn't robotic. It was worse, human, without emotion. Smooth, clinical, precise. The Verati core relay on Delta Chris 4, Naira replied. We don't want prisoners. We want silence. Confirmed. No salute. No ceremony. The 12 boarded the stealth ship like machines slipping into a sheath. Meanwhile, at Earth Command, President Reyes watched the feed from Mars. Do we tell the colonies? She asked. No, said Naira. Not until the bodies start falling. And the council? Naira met her gaze. They'll know who it was. That's the point. 4 days later, Delta Chris 4. Verati system. The planetary defense grid reported nothing unusual. All sensors normal. Traffic scans, clear. Surface security, routine. And yet, inside the core relay station, every guard was already dead. 12 shadows moved through the complex, like whispers in a tomb. No gunfire. No alarms. Just flickers of motion. One moment there, the next gone. Phantom slit a throat mid-sentence. Hollow hacked the relay's AI defense without even blinking. Revenant Prime moved to the control chamber, inserted a coded virus, and watched data rot in real time. System collapse in 90 seconds, he said, no trace of pride. Status. Naira's voice crackled in their neural links. Objective complete. No survivors. Relay wiped. Pull out. One moment, Revenant Prime said. He turned to the main console, activated an old Terran transmission. Marcus Hale's final words. Then he forced the station to rebroadcast them. Just once, just loud enough to be noticed. Then he blew the core. Galactic Council emergency broadcast. Delta Chris 4 gone. No known attackers. Transmission intercepted. Earth Envoy Marcus Hale, final words. Suspected Terran involvement, 99.7%. Panic didn't spread. It detonated. Back on Earth, Naira stood before the strategic core, arms folded behind her back. That was one node, she said. We have 20 more targets ready. You're starting a war, one counselor warned. No, Naira replied coldly. They started it. We're just showing them how humans end things. Far from Earth, aboard the dreadnought Judicator, Captain Rail watched the stars blur past in silent rage. He had fought in the Outer Rim Wars, buried friends under alien suns, left pieces of himself on shattered moons. Now they'd called him back, not to defend, but to lead the charge. Status, he asked his AI co-pilot. Revenants have confirmed their strike. The galaxy knows now. Good, Rail said. He stared out at the darkness between stars. Let them remember why they feared us. Empires don't crumble in explosions. They rot from the inside, and the Council had begun to stink of fear. 3 days after the Delta Chris 4 strike, the Galactic Council convened again. But this time, the lights were brighter, the security heavier, and the unity shattered. 12 delegates sat in uneasy silence. Gone was the composure, the diplomacy, the arrogance. What remained was suspicion, and the stench of survival. Crash of the Threxian Dominion slammed his clawed fist on the table. We should have annihilated Earth after their first violation. This is blood on your hands, Virex. The Verati Chancellor's gelatinous form rippled with tension. Her voice, once calm and superior, now shook. We followed protocol. The envoy was warned. They chose war. No, muttered the Helari emissary, pale eyes dim. We chose murder. And now they've answered. A low hum passed through the chamber, raw, uncertain. Human fear echoing in alien throats. For the first time in centuries, the Council had no answers. Only questions. And a trail of corpses. Meanwhile, deep orbit, Terran dreadnought Judicator. Captain Rail paced the war room, datapads flickering around him. Reports streamed in from across the stars. A Kellari defense grid fried by an invisible pulse. A Threxian listening post found empty, not destroyed, just abandoned. The personnel missing, without a trace. AI anomalies flooding the Council's databanks, whispering encrypted Terran messages into secure channels. Earth hadn't declared war. They were rewriting the concept. They're folding, Rail said to his tactical officer. They built their power on fear of each other. We just gave them something new to be afraid of. So what's next? Rail tapped a glowing star map. 12 systems blinked. 5 turned red. We don't need to win. We just need to fracture them. Galactic Council internal transmission. Encrypted, unauthorized recording. We can't hold this alliance. The Helari are pulling support. The Dravari are sending diplomats to Earth in secret. We killed a diplomat, not a soldier. There's no honor in that. If Earth brings war to our doorstep, we'll fall one by one. Then maybe it's time we talk to the humans, before the Revenants come knocking. Transmission ends. Back on Lunar Prime, Earth Command. Naira Vale stood before a massive digital wall, dozens of live feeds running. Alien news, intercepted Council transmissions, fleet movements, atmospheric disruptions. She didn't smile. She didn't speak for a long time. Finally, they're breaking. President Reyes joined her, arms crossed, face unreadable. You sound almost disappointed. No, Naira replied. Just calculating how far we need to push before they fall completely. And if they strike back together, then they give us what we've been denied for decades, clarity. A real war. No shadows. Just fire. A pause. And Marcus Hale? Reyes asked. Naira's jaw tightened. Every system that let him die will burn. Not just for revenge, but as a lesson. Aboard Council Station Orion 7. Helari Envoy Kevrin stood alone on a balcony, watching the stars pulse beyond the shielded glass. He remembered Hale. The human had spoken like no other ambassador. Calm, clear, brave. He had died with dignity. And now Earth was showing the galaxy what dignity looked like when it sharpened its teeth. A soft chime broke his thoughts. Incoming message. From who? He asked the console. The reply made him freeze. Terran Diplomatic Corps, unofficial channel. For those who regret. Final scene, Revenant forward base, Black Halo. Deep within a dead zone of space, Revenant Prime stood at a war table lit by crimson stars. Around him, his team trained in silence, each movement lethal, each breath measured. They're running scared, Phantom said, watching a news feed of Council riots. Not scared enough, Revenant Prime replied. Not yet. A new mission packet flashed on the screen. Target, Council Vault World, Arcus Prime. Objective, extraction of classified tech. Psychological destabilization. He closed the screen. Let's remind them what ghosts are really for. There are truths so powerful, they can collapse galaxies. The Arcus Prime vaults held the most dangerous secrets of the Galactic Council. Not weapons. Not military codes. Not even the locations of lost colonies. This was something darker. Something far older than the galaxy itself. And now, Revenant Prime was standing at the threshold of it all. Prepare for extraction. Revenant Prime ordered. His team, Ghost, Eidolon, Phantom, moved in eerie synchrony, their eyes locked on the blackened vault doors ahead. Each step was deliberate, silent, their presence swallowed by the shadows. Arcus Prime was the heart of Council power, the deep core where history was rewritten, and lies were buried in crystalline data chambers. I don't like this place, Eidolon muttered, her voice barely a whisper. Your emotions are irrelevant. Revenant Prime replied coldly, scanning the vault's defenses. Stay focused. The doors before them hummed with power. A quiet force field rippled across its surface, invisible to the naked eye. Let's see if they really think they're invulnerable, Phantom muttered. He slid a small device into the console at the door's base. The hum grew louder, a pulse of energy radiating outwards. The door screeched as it began to split apart, revealing a dark, sterile hallway beyond. It stretched into the distance, like a tomb. On me, Revenant Prime ordered. We move fast. We move quiet. This station is not as secure as they think. Inside the vaults of Arcus Prime, the chamber inside was colder than space itself, a chilling silence that pressed on their senses. Revenant Prime's boots made no sound on the metallic floor as they moved deeper into the heart of the vaults. The walls were lined with ancient stone and shimmering glass, cracked and eroded from millennia of use. These were not the pristine, controlled environments of the Council's public operations. This was the heart of their deception. At the center of the room, in a floating transparent chamber, lay a massive data core, a giant crystal pulsing with an unnatural glow. It hummed like a living thing. With every passing second, Revenant Prime could feel the weight of it, the gravity of the truth locked inside. This is it, Ghost said, her hand hovering over the crystal. The Council's ultimate secret. Revenant Prime nodded, his cold eyes fixed on the core. Let's see what they've hidden. He activated the interface. The room seemed to come alive with a violent flicker of light and noise. Data streams pulsed around them like electric rivers, all flowing toward the core. Then came the truth. A massive holographic display shot into the air, projecting a map of the galaxy, a map they had all seen before. But this one wasn't just about star systems. It was about something much more insidious. What is this? Eidolon asked, her voice tight with growing realization. The map zoomed in on several key systems, each marked with strange, arcane symbols. Symbols tied to forgotten races, races that had disappeared eons ago. They were the builders of the first hypergates, the first interstellar ships, the architects of the very universe the Council had formed itself upon. And then, the data core unlocked a sequence that nearly shattered Revenant Prime's composure. A voice, ancient and deep, echoed throughout the chamber. Humanity was never meant to be here. Flashback, Terran colonies, 300 years ago. The Council had known about the ancient race that created the first pathways between stars. They had hidden the truth for centuries, that Earth's existence wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a fortunate accident of the universe. Earth was designed to play a role in this galaxy, to be controlled. The architect of the universe had seeded Earth, hoping that humanity would develop and one day be turned into the perfect weapon for a larger war, the war that destroyed those who came before the Council. Humanity was the catalyst, and the Council had known. But they didn't want Earth to rise. They kept it bound, isolated, fractured. A species whose potential was locked away and buried under false history. Now, it was all coming to light. Present Arcus Prime Vault. The hologram flickered, revealing something far worse. A hidden message, a forgotten transmission, coded in a language no one had ever decoded before. The seed must grow to its fullest potential. The prophecy must be fulfilled. Revenant Prime's expression didn't change, but in his mind, a single thought echoed. The prophecy was about to be rewritten. They knew, Eidolon said, her voice full of disbelief. They knew from the beginning. Yes, Revenant Prime replied, turning away from the crystal. And they lied. Council chambers, Galactic core. Across the galaxy, the Council members were in disarray. The Helari had officially cut ties. The Verati were considering asylum on Earth. The Kelari were preparing their fleets for retaliation, all because of a single message. Humanity was never meant to be here. They had underestimated the Terrans once. Now, the true power of Earth was becoming clear, and they weren't going to let the galaxy forget. The truth was a blade, and it cut deeper than any weapon the galaxy had ever known. Across the stars, Earth's message was clear. The Galactic Council was no longer united. Fear had cracked their unity like brittle glass. The revelations from Arcus Prime spread like wildfire, whispers, rumors, and now undeniable facts. Humanity was not just a pawn in their game. It was the key. And now, they were coming for everything. Luna Prime, Earth Command. President Aiko Reyes stared at the encrypted data flood from Arcus Prime, her fingers hovering over the controls. The hologram in front of her showed the fractured remnants of the once unified galaxy. The Helari had fled, the Verati were in disarray, and the Threxian Dominion was massing ships on the border. "We've shattered their foundations," Naira said, her voice low but sharp, like the edge of a knife. "They don't know it yet, but the war has already begun." Reyes didn't respond at first. She was staring at the latest transmission from Revenant Prime, detailing the destruction of Arcus Prime's vault. The truth had been laid bare. "They lied to us all," she murmured. "The Council, the so-called peacekeepers. They knew Earth was never meant to be here. They've been manipulating us, playing us for centuries." Her eyes hardened, a flicker of rage igniting. "And now we fight." "Yes," Naira said. "We fight on our terms. No longer the diplomat. No longer the victim." Reyes nodded, turning to the holographic display of the galaxy. The Council's core was now exposed, and the cracks in their power were widening. Their enemies were scattered, but they still had strength, military might, technological superiority, and diplomatic sway. "For now, prepare the fleets," Reyes ordered, her voice carrying the weight of 1,000 lost lives. "We're going to show them how Earth ends things." Council chambers, Galactic core. Far from the reach of Terran forces, deep within the heart of Council space, panic reigned. Crash of the Threxian Dominion slammed his fist onto the obsidian table, sending shards of it splintering across the room. "This is an act of war. Earth's uprising is unstoppable. We must strike first, or we'll lose everything." The Helari delegate, once composed, now trembled in the face of the undeniable. The Verati representative, long thought to be the voice of reason, was already muttering about fleeing to a more secure region. "We cannot afford to turn on each other now," Virex, the Verati chancellor, said. "The humans, they've uncovered the prophecy." Crash's eyes narrowed. "We were supposed to contain them, control them. They were never meant to learn of the prophecy." "It's too late," the Helari delegate interrupted. "The damage is done. Earth now understands their place in this galaxy, and that changes everything." A new message blinked on the central console. Unauthorized transmission received. It was from the Revenants. The Council's command center went silent as the image of Earth's flag appeared, but it wasn't just any flag. It was burning. Flames leaped across the stars in the holographic display, turning the red and white stripes into a symbol of fury. Beneath the flag, an encrypted message. "We are no longer your allies. We are no longer your servants. We are your reckoning. This is Earth's vengeance. We are coming." The message blinked out. The Outer Rim, Threxian Dominion border. Captain Rail stood in the war room of Judicator, watching as the final confirmation of Earth's impending assault blinked across the star maps. The Dreadnought systems hummed with readiness. He was standing on the precipice of something far bigger than he had ever imagined. "Revenge," he said, his voice gravelly. "It has a bitter taste, doesn't it?" "It tastes like justice," Naira replied, her gaze steely. "They've made their choice. We're just making them live with it." Rail stared at the map, focusing on the weak points in Council space. The Threxian border was barely holding, their fleets scattering as Earth's ships entered the Outer Rim. "We need to hit them where it hurts," Rail said. "If we cripple their trade routes, their alliances will collapse faster than they can reinforce." "I already have a plan," Naira said, a faint smile crossing her face. "A perfect strike, right at the heart of their economy." Council response, Galactic core. Desperation turned to chaos as the Council moved in full force. Emergency fleets were dispatched. Sectors were locked down. But it was all too late. The Council's once unified front had fractured beyond repair, and there was nothing they could do to stop Earth's wrath now. Crash, in his rage, slammed his claws into the table again. "We were the galaxy's protectors," he bellowed. "We were the ones who held this universe together." But his voice cracked as his own doubt took hold. "Not anymore," Virex whispered. "Not with Earth coming." Luna Prime, Earth Command. President Reyes looked out at the stars, her resolve hardening. "This is no longer about revenge. This is about justice. This is about the truth. We have nothing left to lose." Naira stepped beside her, the weight of countless deaths in her eyes. Let's make sure they never forget why Earth never really belonged to them. The galaxy was never the same. In the aftermath of the final battle, where the Terran forces shattered the heart of the Galactic Council's core, a silence fell across the stars. It was a silence born not of peace, but of uncertainty, as the ashes of an old order settled into the void. Earth had risen from the ashes of betrayal, its fleets now the largest in the galaxy, its people emboldened by the blood of their fallen and the revelations they had unearthed. The prophecy that had once been hidden in the deepest vaults was no longer just a relic of the past. It was now the path forward. Luna Prime, Earth Command. President Aiko Reyes stood on the balcony of Earth's new command center, the vastness of space stretching out before her. Below, the city lights of Luna Prime gleamed like the pulse of a living heart. She could feel the weight of her actions pressing on her chest, but it was a weight she was willing to carry. Behind her, a figure stepped forward. Naira Vale, once an ally, now a trusted advisor and friend. "We did it," Naira said softly, her eyes scanning the horizon. Reyes nodded. "We ended them." "It wasn't just vengeance, Aiko," Naira replied. "We were right. They were wrong. And now, we have to ensure this galaxy never forgets the cost of ignoring humanity." The silence between them was heavy with the enormity of what had happened. The Galactic Council, broken and scattered, no longer had the power to influence the future. The universe was at the mercy of those who had once been the weakest. Earth had ascended from the dirt of ancient conspiracies and now stood as the strongest power in the galaxy, commanding not just with might, but with an ironclad will. "The galaxy won't forget," Reyes said, "but we will make sure it remembers why it was broken." The new Galactic Assembly, Earth's seat of power. In the months that followed the fall of the Council, Earth established a new order. The Galactic Assembly was born, a new alliance with one foundational principle. No one would ever rule the galaxy through deceit again. The once mighty galactic powers were now fractured, their remnants incorporated into Earth's expanding sphere of influence. Some chose to submit, others were made examples of. But for the first time, the galaxy was united by one vision, Earth's vision. As the doors to the new assembly chamber slid open, Reyes took her place at the head of the table, her gaze steady and unwavering. The representatives of the former council sat in silence, each one aware that their survival depended on Earth's mercy, or lack thereof. Reyes' voice broke the stillness. "You all stand here because you've seen what happens when you underestimate humanity. We are not your saviors, and we are not your servants. But we are the future of this galaxy. And from this moment forward, the galaxy will follow the path we set." The assembly room was deathly silent, the weight of her words sinking in. "Do not forget who brought us here, not just to reclaim our place, but to shape a future where no one will ever again be used as a tool by those who think themselves gods." She looked across the room at the defeated delegates, their eyes filled with fear. She had broken the council, but more importantly, she had united Earth under a singular, undeniable truth. The past was gone. The future was Earth's. Elsewhere, Revenant Prime's last stand. The Revenants had scattered to the winds, their mission complete. Earth had become the harbinger of a new dawn, a power beyond the reach of even the most ancient and powerful factions. But in the dark corners of space, whispers persisted. There were still those who remembered the Revenants, who saw their true potential. And deep within the remnants of the Council's shattered fleets, the last of their warlords gathered, their eyes fixed not on the stars of the old order, but on the future, on Earth's rise. Revenant Prime had not just ended the Council. He had lit a fire that would burn for generations. Earth's vengeance was a fire that could not be extinguished, no matter how far they ran. The galaxy was forever changed. And as the universe moved into the age of Earth's dominion, one thing remained certain. The past was over. The future had been written in the blood of those who dared to control it.